Hi, welcome to iQAaCAR, the show where I test the quality of automobiles. My name is Berger. Today we have a 2020 Camaro SS Hendricks edition. This is a 6.2 liter V8 480 horsepower car. The Hendricks edition was made specifically for the Hertz rental fleet line. There's only 200 of these cars made. They have performance upgrade such as colder intake, exhaust, rims, brakes, in addition to cosmetics such as the vinyl racing stripe and the embroidered number 24 on the interior of the car. So for this first test, what we're going to do is just walk around the exterior of the car and see if there's anything popping out that's low quality issues or that's catching my eye. I find it strange that a car that is this modern and this new, a 2020, does not have folding mirrors. The SS badge, the red paint, is already beginning to chip. This is only a 31,000 mile car. See, the SS logo in the back looks totally fine compared to the SS logo in the front. I do have issues with this racing stripe. It's not painted on. It is actually a sticker. It doesn't look too good in certain areas. Beginning to look damaged after only 31,000 miles. When you follow the lines, the quality kind of dips around bends. It's one thickness over here. It's a different thickness. Whereas on the other side, the thickness stays consistent. The quality of the actual sticker, again, is kind of peeling and fading off. And then lots of imperfections like here, the Hendrick Motorsport logo, if you look really carefully, and it's pixelated. It's kind of a low quality sticker in my opinion. You got such cool rims, and yet you see the weights. I'm having a hard time believing that the weights on the inside of the rims could have not been hidden slightly better. It just seems like a complete afterthought. I mean, look how ugly that looks. Again, cool rims, but you can just see the weights everywhere. See the faded 24 logo? And then everyone knows it's a rental because it's got Hertz logo all over it. The yellow brake calipers is going to really attract dirt, and especially as you can see the brake dust is just all over it. On the bottom of the chrome exhaust, that there's some parts that look burned from the exhaust or covered in soot. This is chrome, shouldn't be covered in my opinion. I wanted to see how difficult it was to change a spare tire on a Camaro. However, there is no spare tire in the trunk. That would be fun if you got a flat. Out of all the things that I found wrong with this car, I don't expect seals to be damaged so early on. Again, look, this is only 30,000 miles. This bad seal over here now explains why I got some rust action going on where the spare tire should be. So for this next test, I have a digital caliper here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk around the entire car and measure panel gaps. The panel gaps are pretty decent all around. Let's go exactly to the part on the outside of the racing stripe. So if you look really carefully, the bottom distance is thicker than the top distance. The right distance is thicker than the left distance. So if you're looking at it, the circle is sitting slightly above and to the left. So what's really common among new sports cars is as you're opening the door, that the window went down ever so slightly. And then once the door is closed, it moves back up. The one thing I did notice is, say you take your door and you don't close it all the way. See, it's not closed all the way. And you just push the door a little bit with your hand. You can make the window freak out. You move your hand away, it stops. So for this next test, I'm curious, what is the range of the key fob? So I'm in an empty parking lot. I'm just going to keep walking towards that direction and then unlocking the car just to see what the range is. I'd be concerned if it didn't work there. Running out of parking lot. So I'm at the very end of the parking lot and I can still unlock the car. Let's see if remote start works. So I went all the way to the end of the parking lot and the key fob kept on working. So I would say this range is pretty impressive. Now that we finished testing the exterior of the car, let's go test the interior. The interior of this car is actually quite nice. My complaint is they embroidered a 24 logo where your feet are in yellow. And as you can see, that logo, because it's yellow, is not hiding dirt pretty well. So it's, as mentioned, this Hertz logo over here, that's on the door sill. It's not sticking very well. I don't know if that's water or just the adhesion not holding up as well as it should be. This back seat is kind of ridiculous. I mean, it doesn't even have a headrest, let alone a leg space. There is the heads-up display. My biggest issue with the heads-up display is that you could move it away from where you could see it. So the purpose of this adjustment is just to make it higher or lower, but why am I able to raise the heads-up display higher than the actual visibility rate? So for these next set of tests is I'm going to bring out an infrared thermometer, and I'm curious as to how hot do these seats go when the seat warmers are on, and how hot does the steering wheel get when the steering wheel warmer is on. Turning on the steering wheel warmer, turning on the heated seats on the passenger side. So while I'm waiting for the steering wheel to heat up and the seats to heat up, I found the ambient light settings. Now the ambient light settings controls this LED light on the side of the door. One thing I did notice is, though, from the moment you push it to the reflection, is there's quite a substantial delay. And also you get multiple colors like red and blue. There is a delay from pushing the button to actually seeing the reflection of the color. So hopefully the steering wheel is consistent heat all around. So the steering wheel, it's interesting, on the outer parts of the steering wheel, it's slightly hotter than the inner parts. I mean, that kind of makes sense. So the outer part is reading at about 104, 105 degrees average, where the inner part of the steering wheel is about 98, 99 average. Now I'm curious about, let's take the temperature of the heated seats. So it stops somewhere around here. Lower back is about as high as the heated seats go, and then I'm going to cool off even more, and then we're back to regular. As of right now, the steering wheel gets hotter than the seats. Interesting. We're going to see how much airflow comes through the AC and heating ducts. For this next test is we're going to check to see how loud the car is when we're standing behind it, and of course we're going to use remote start to make it more fun. It's pretty loud. For this next test is I'm curious how loud the noise is when you're turning on the car from the inside of the car, and also while you're driving it. So we didn't get louder than 90.1, which is the highest reading. For this next test is I'm curious to see how good does the climate control work on the inside of the car. So again, I got the thermometers. I'm gonna put one in each seat and turn on the car, let it run. Let's do the easy test first, how cold we could get it in here. So I'm setting everything to max cold over here. Max cold, high fan. All right, see what happens in 10 minutes. Okay, that's actually kind of interesting. 72 and 74 degrees in the front of the car. It is 71 degrees and 72 degrees in the back seat. Yeah, and this is full blast. So, and look, on the computer screen, it's supposed to be 61, 62 degrees. There's just 61, 62 degrees. There's about a 10-degree difference. Let's do the exact opposite and turn heat up to high. I'm not gonna sit in the car for this because I don't want to torture myself. So it has been approximately 10 minutes. Woo! I could feel that heat. And yeah, look at that. We actually made it 90 in the front. Let me close the door real quick. 93 in the back, almost 94. Wow, 97. The heater does work as intended to, and I gotta turn this off. I'm dying in here. All right, this next test goes out to all the parents out there. Is the Camaro SS a reasonable family car? How many baby seats can you safely fit into the back seat of the car at the baby seat anchor points? So I'm getting ready to put the baby seats in the back seat. Look at this leg room. Now look, there's no leg room back here, none whatsoever. What is the purpose of having back seats? Take the baby out first. It's like playing the most unsatisfying game of Tetris. That's one. There are two baby seats, and I am actually surprised that I was able to get them in. You can fit two babies in here. I was kind of curious to see how big is the glove compartment in this car, and what I could say is this glove compartment can fit one baby. I'm really curious how big this trunk is and how much stuff it could hold. So we could, you know, put pieces of luggage in there and see how many it could hold, but depending on what brand of luggage you have, a medium piece of luggage from one brand is going to be different size than a medium piece of luggage on another brand. So because we're Americans and we measure things in football fields, I decided to measure trunk space by bodies. So how many bodies can we fit into a trunk? This is a mannequin, an inflatable mannequin. It is approximately 5 feet 6 inches, which is pretty close to what the average size male human being is on this planet. So let's see how many we could fit inside. But so far, we got one body in, pretty good. If we get a fourth one in, the Camaro SS is the ultimate unsuspected smuggling car and or mafioso car. This is great. I was able to put in 4 mannequins that are 5 foot 6 inches into the trunk. Granted, they're really stuffed. They're bent over, but if you're putting bodies in the trunk, they're probably gonna be dead anyways. But look at this, 4 bodies inside of a Camaro SS. So I guess this little release tag which they have over here actually does serve a purpose. And just to show everybody, see, we got the 4 mannequins inside. As you can see, this is where the cold air intake is on this car. It is inside of a custom-made box, which is covered with insulation. So what I'm curious about is how much colder is the air on the intake than it is on the actual engine block over here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove this cover, and I'm going to put a thermometer on the inside of the cold air intake and a thermometer on the outside of the cold air intake, drive the car around for about 10-15 minutes, and then come back and see if there's much of a difference. I have a bunch of these digital thermometers with me. Put one thermometer over here and then inside the box of the cold air intake, and the other thermometer just next to the engine block. Now time to seal it up and drive it around. So one thermometer is reading 78 degrees, the other one is reading 79.5. Make sure. Cool. So all right, I'm gonna go drive this around. So I just got back from approximately a 10-15 minute drive, and now I'm curious as to if the cold air intake does anything. And the temperature on the engine bay is approximately 88 degrees, whereas the temperature on the inside of the cold air intake is also 88 degrees. So to be perfectly honest, I'm not even sure if this cold air intake box does anything. The temperature on the inside is the same exact as the outside. For the final test is, I'm curious how long it takes to drain the battery if you leave your car headlights on. So I have a stopwatch with me, also have a battery jumper. I'm going to turn on the lights, start the stopwatch, and I'm going to attempt to turn on the car once every 10 minutes, and we'll see approximately how long it takes before the battery's dead. Let's find out. All right, the car headlights are on. Got a stopwatch going. I'm obviously going to have to jump start the car, which I'm ready to do. However, the car keeps locking itself automatically, and at first I was like, okay, that's fine because we have an actual physical key that's inside of the key fob. However, both driver and passenger side doors don't have a place to where I could insert the key fob to open the doors. So for the remainder of this test, I'm going to have to leave one of the car doors open. Otherwise, I'm not going to be able to start the car once it's dead. So it has been 10 minutes since I turned on the headlights. And we will check again in another 10 minutes. So I don't know if you guys hear or don't hear, but I no longer hear the beeping chime. So is it possible that we already drained the battery of this car by leaving the headlights on for only 20 minutes? I got the key. Let's find out if the car starts. That is interesting. The car started after 20 minutes. Was that kind of like a safety thing for him? And look, the lights are back on. I think this car does some kind of does have some kind of safety feature built into it in case you forget to turn off your car lights. Again, I just want to drain the battery of this damn car. We'll see what happens. Car still starts after 30 minutes. After 40 minutes test. So as you can see, the lights are completely off on the front of this car, and it has been approximately 50 minutes. The chiming has stopped. Let's see if the car battery is actually dead this time. So I'm thinking that the car this time will not start because that the GPS is and the infotainment system is completely off. So let's try. "50 minutes and the car is still turning on." It has been exactly 60 minutes since we started running this test. Let's see if it turns on after 2 hours. So it has been 2 hours since I had turned on the headlights on this car, and the car is still turned on in 10-minute intervals. I had a Honda Civic from 2004. The battery would die after half an hour if you left the lights on. My father, he had a Lexus RX 330. The battery died after half an hour if you left the lights on. Meanwhile, this Camaro SS, even after running the lights on for 2 hours, the car still turns on. And that's partially due to the safety feature that's built into this car to where it automatically turns off your headlights even if you forgot to turn them off of the manual mode, which is quite a nice feature, and I think more cars should have that. Well, thank you very much for watching the first episode of iQAaCAR. I hope you enjoyed learning a whole bunch of useless information about vehicles as I enjoyed testing for it. Next week, we're going to have a different car and some similar tests and some different tests. And you guys know what to do. Thank you for watching.